Hello guys, this is Joy Mahadul here. At first, if you like the video, please share it with your friends and your explicit comments below here. For video clips, all credits go to the movie owners. We make which are truly hidden gems to entertain people. This video is all about explaining the movie from our own point of view. For the explanation, we have used most of the video clips from the movie for better understanding. Stay with us till the end, enjoy the video.
The point when he was as yet a kid, Day-Gil saw a bizarre man show up at the family's eatery, guaranteeing he was sent by the youngster's uncle to present to them some cash so they could live without stresses. Day-Gil was exceptionally intrigued by this man that gave him a way to be a decent kid. Furthermore, Day-Gil took the risk to make up justifications for why he ought to be tipped higher. The man regarded the kid's knowledge and gave him additional money while bringing up he would be a decent trickster. Furthermore, when Day-Gil showed interest in the word, the outsider showed him the subtle strategies. From that point forward, Day-Gil has been betting and winning thanks to cheating at each valuable open door, beginning with plays of the game during center grade and moving into real cash in secondary school. Presently in the present, a grown-up Day-Gil functions as a conveyance kid, yet he actually joins games to continue to bet. At some point, he's welcomed to a game at Guang Chul's place and Day-Gil will meet the sister Mi-Na, who is worn out on seeing Guang Chul squander cash on a habit. Day-Gil in a flash becomes hopelessly enamored with her and attempts to ask her out. Yet Mi-Na answers by shouting to make her sibling believe she's being gone after and inspiring him to whip Day-Gil. Returning, Day-Gil sees his granddad escape and go to a betting lair, where the elderly person loses and creates a situation by charging everybody of cheating. The person in control, nicknamed Ghost, and his guardian take Grandpa to one more space to pummel him for his way of behaving. Day-Gil acts the hero and in the wake of taking out the guardian by astonishing him from behind, he conflicts with Ghost, who is furnished with a blade. In the battle, Day-Gil coincidentally wounds Ghost, so he and Grandpa escape the spot before they can be gotten. At home, Day-Gil's mom provides him with the sack of cash the uncle sent a long time back and she never contacted, inquiring him to disappear to the large city and hide out for some time. Day-Gil acknowledges this as the smartest thought. However, prior to leaving, he comes by Mi-Na's home to tell her he isn't sufficient for her now, yet he'll return as a superior, commendable man and wed her. At the point when he comes to the city, Day-Gil rents an old little loft and contacts his close buddy Charlie, who works in a prestigious betting lair. Charlie's occupation is professing to be one more player to beat the genuine specialists through conning, then return the cash to the manager Ko Jang, who pays him a commission. On account of Charlie, Day-Gil gets a task there as a skivvy, and he utilizes his charms and deceives to sell loads of rewards and cigarettes to the clients, procuring him additional tips. During his movements, he likewise will meet the Nook's different representatives like Seo and Madame Song, who like Charlie, profess to be players to make everybody lose. There's likewise Ms. Charm, a wonderful widow client who Day-Gil rapidly gets a pound on. After 5 months, Ko Jang thinks Day-Gil has shown he's dependable and steadfast enough to turn into a phony player like Charlie. Before long, Day-Gil is dominating matches and scaling as the best player in the sanctum, acquiring him Ko Jang's preference, which makes Charlie desirous. Presently Day-Gil can bear the cost of good garments and an extravagance condo, so when one night he tracks down Ms. Charm crying in the parking garage since she lost once more, he welcomes her to his place to show her how to play better. Following a couple of long stretches of playing a game of cards, Ms. Charm hits on Day-Gil, who at first attempts to consider Mi-Na, however winds up surrendering to Wu's advances. From that point forward, both of them start dating. In a little while, Ko Jang picks Ms. Charm as their next casualty to be left bankrupt. The arrangement is to make her success for some time prior to striking and causing her to lose everything. Day-Gil cautions Charm of this arrangement and asks her not to return to the cave, but rather Wu doesn't tune in and appears utilizing the stunts Day-Gil showed her. Ms. Charm outfoxes the others and wins at any rate, causing the liquidation of the Nook. A couple of days after the fact, without having heard from Wu once more, Day-Gil needs another spot to bring in cash, so Charlie welcomes him to a confidential game with a rich man called Jang, who accompanies a major shock. The fourth player is Mi-Na, who is by all accounts this person's darling. The game beginnings in Day-Gil's approval, and Charlie figures they ought to stop while they can and leave with the cash. however Dae-gil needs to continue onward for greater profit. This ends up being a slip-up at the point when Mi-na occupies Dae-gil and he winds up losing everything. It turns out Jang has been working for Ko Jang and Seo from the start, since they had figured out Dae-gil had been dating Woo and thought he had helped her success, meaning they needed retribution. A month after the game, Dae-gil actually hasn't paid, so Jang sends his men after him to get his kidney as a component of the installment. During the grabbing, Dae-gil's hand gets broken. Jang takes the kidney in addition to Dae-gil's loft in financial balance. Be that as it may, covering his entire debt is as yet sufficiently not. Ultimately, Ko Jang is captured by the police. What's more, his workers crawl under a rock, so Dae-gil should remain low too. Without cash to spend, Dae-gil gets by dozing in bistros and taking extras from different tables. At some point, Mi-na tracks down him and welcomes him to eat together, during which she makes sense of the game with Jang had been a snare. Charlie had been working with Jang from the start and keeping in mind that Dae-gil was diverted by Mi-na, the two men traded cards. Dae-gil is angry to get familiar with his dearest companion deceived him and needs vengeance, yet, Mi-na reminds him to avoid anything moronic on the grounds that he should wed her sometime in the not-so-distant future. Because of the cash Mi-na gifted him, Dae-gil moves to a little town and starts betting in more modest sanctums. One night, he's discovered cheating, yet he's aided by another player called Mr. Go. They don't perceive each other on the grounds that they're both more seasoned at this point. However, this man is the very fellow that carried the cash to Dae-gil's family such a long time back. Dae-gil is intrigued by the way Mr. Go could change Dae-gil's cards and cover his mix-up while having a prosthetic hand, so he requests that he be his coach. Mr. Go acknowledges simply because Dae-gil helps him to remember an unbelievable player called Hands of God, who Dae-gil doesn't know as his uncle. Mr. Go shows Dae-gil progressed betting stunts and how to peruse individuals' non-verbal communication. He even lets him know that on the off chance that one day he needs to play bear, he ought to simply eat the additional card. Both of them become excellent card accomplices and start making elaborate tricking arrangements that permit them to begin winning frequently once more, moving from little nooks to greater ones. One night, Dae-gil sees Charlie in the roads and follows him to request a clarification. Charlie auctions Dae-gil off on the grounds that he had been envious of him turning into the manager's number one, yet he's likewise unfortunate now since he had been deceived also. It would appear all along, website optimization had been working with Madame Song and Ms. Charm to cut Ko Jang down, and presently Dae-gil ponders if what he and Woo had was ever genuine. Charlie additionally has crushed news. As a result of Dae-gil experience with Mi-na, she has been sold. Irate, Dae-gil goes to the sanctum Mi-na was offered to and is stunned to figure out it's overseen by Ghost, who is as yet alive and working for Jang. On the off chance that Dae-gil needs to salvage Mi-na, he'll need to dominate a match against her while just playing with just a single hand, and whoever wins should cut the adversary's hand. Because of Mr. Go's lessons, Dae-gil effectively wins the game by perusing Mi-na's non-verbal communication, yet rather than cutting her, he harms his own hand, which never at any rate, completely recuperated from the time Jang's men destitute it. Dae-gil attempts to leave with Mi-na. In any case, Ghost stops them, making sense of the cash Dae-gil made with this game isn't sufficient to pay for her obligation. Luckily, Mr. Go appears and pays the remainder of the cash. When they successfully return to Go's spot and Mi-na nods off, Dae-gil contemplates whether somebody can really carry on a decent life by as it were betting. Mr. Go makes sense of he just bet since he was dependent, yet quite a long time ago, there had been 4 unbelievable players. One of them tumbled off a train under secretive conditions, the second lost his ear to the third, called Agui, who is additionally the person that cut Go's hand and is known to be shrewd. All players have setback as their destiny, which is the reason the 4th incredible speculator, Hands of God, left during a gigantic game he was going to win, not having any desire to have a dull future as well. In the event that Dae-gil needs a decent existence with Mi-na, Go figures he ought to stop too. In a little while, Dae-gil takes Mi-na out to supper and realizes what has been going on with her. Her sibling Guang Chul used to bet with Ghost, and one evening, when Mi-na went to get him, she got to meet Jang, who became fixated on her. Jang made an arrangement to set up Guang Hul with a betting specialist that put him in Ghost's obligation, making Mi-na make an appearance to help her sibling by functioning as a hawker. Anyway, while she played, Jang's men would slip something in her espresso, then send her to go through the night with a portion of the clients, and presently Mi-na sees herself as a foul lady. Guang Chul lost it when he heard what has been going on with her and killed the specialist that deceived him, for which he was shipped off prison. Dae-gil makes sense of he doesn't mind since he's a grimy man as well, so he needs to consume his time on earth with her, and both of them at long last kiss. In the meantime, Jang is irate with Ghost for having offered Mi-na and orders him to get her back regardless. Phantom sends his guardian after the triplet and Dae-gil attempts to beat him in a battle. However, the person has areas of strength for excessively. Seeing there could be no other decision, Mr. Go handles the guardian off a stage, killing them both. Prior to passing on, Go requests that Dae-gil disappear and not get payback. Dae-gil doesn't tune in and starts setting up an arrangement to get Jang back. Mi-na visits Guang Chul in jail to get the names of 2 criminal companions that are specialists at setups. With their assistance, they make Madame Song lose everything. Then Mi-na professes to be an innocent rich young lady that Song can exploit. Mi-na claims to lose from the get-go, and whenever Song is fooled into a misguided sensation that all is well and good, she wins everything back. Since Song is frantic now, Dae-gil takes care of her to get them a game with Seo, who Mi-na routs also prior to giving him to Ko Jang so he can have his vengeance as well. This cash permits Dae-gil and Mi-na to move into a more pleasant loft and continue to pay Guang Chul's companions for their assistance. Then, Dae-gil reaches out to Miss Wu again to utilize her to get Jang, offering her a bonus as well. However, Jang sees through Miss Wu's demonstration, also, doesn't acknowledge her as his new player. As a matter of fact, he surmises Dae-gil should utilize her. After Wu leaves, Jang stresses he might be ransacked by Dae-gil soon and moves generally his cash to a deserted building no one knows about. Anyway, this had been the arrangement from the start. While leaving, Charm had contacted Jang and established a tracker that showed the gathering the area of the cash. To make retribution better, they just take half of it, then send the police to see as the other half. Jang falls under an examination for unlawful betting and paying off of officials, so he takes off and the public authority puts a prize on his head. Dae-gil meets with Wu to pay her. In any case, when she sees him with Mi-na, she gets desirous and goes to track down Jang to let him know everything. Dae-gil and Mi-na are preparing to leave the nation when they get a call from Jang, who has grabbed Guang Chul's companions and requests to get his cash back in return for their lives. Dae-gil consents to meet and write now of the trade. The hooligan that hands in the casualties takes out a blade to wound Dae-gil, however he had proactively been anticipating filthy play. In the wake of tasing the hooligan, Dae-gil lights the bag ablaze and leaves with his companions. Jang hurries to put the fire out and finds the bag had been loaded with counterfeit cash, so he and his men pursue Dae-gil, which sets off a vehicle pursuit through the city. Sadly, Mi-na never figured out how to drive appropriately and she winds up crashing the vehicle. While Jang removes the cash, Dae-gil sees Mi-na has blood between her thighs and finds she had been pregnant just to lose the child in the vehicle crash. Mi-na winds up in the clinic, where she's visited by Guang Chul, who at long last was delivered from prison after Dae-gil repaid off his bail when they began bringing in cash once more. In the interim, Jang pays Wu her a player in the arrangement prior to meeting for certain men that will sneak him out of the country. Anyway, these men are additionally paid by Wu and they beat up Jang. Charm needs to leave, thinking she has won, yet these hooligans are really working for Ghost, who makes an appearance, makes it lights out time for her and later dumping her on a heap of garbage. He leaves with all the cash. When Wu later gets back, she's stunned to find Jang there, who had likewise been tossed on a heap of junk rather than killed as she had inquired. Phantom returns the cash to the genuine chief, the unbelievable Agui, who has likewise lost a lot of fingers. He rapidly sees there's a tracker concealed inside the bag and anticipates they'll be found soon. As he predicts, Dae-gil appears along with Guang Chul, followed intently by Jang. A contention before long starts about whom the cash has a place with and who ought to kill who, so Agui proposes an answer, one final major game where they bet all the cash yet additionally their heads. Everybody acknowledges and Jang continues to sell Wu to get some cash for the game, yet she persuades him to take her to the game since she can assist him with diverting Dae-gil because of their set of experiences together. Dae-gil gets his cash from Ko Jang, who needs Dae-gil to prevail throughout everyday life, and a recuperated Mi-na tells Guang Chul she'll be Dae-gil's accomplice since she doesn't maintain that her sibling should fall into dependence once more. The day of the game comes and rules are laid out to abstain from cheating. Everybody will play stripped and utilize just a single hand. Wu has likewise brought banned new fixed decks, so it's not possible for anyone to utilize checked cards. The game starts regularly, however soon something abnormal starts occurring and Dae-gil understands the cards Wu has brought should be visible through assuming you know the most effective method to utilize your eyes. Agui understands this as well and kicks Wu out of the game prior to evolving decks. The game returns regularly until Dae-gil is discovered putting his hand close to Emina's clothing. Agui wagers all his cash that Dae-gil has winning cards and Jang wagers everything on Emina having a card concealed in her clothing, but they're both off base. Dae-gil had simply professed to conceal a card to deceive his rivals and get a simple success. Jang and Agui don't take this well and send Ghost to stop Dae-gil and Emina from leaving with the cash. However, Guang Chul came ready and he shoots Ghost's hand off. Then, at that point, Jang switches out the lights to go after them off guard. Guang Chul kills him, despite the fact that he gets injured in the battle also. A short time later, Emina offers some assistance to Wu, who turns her down. Unexpectedly, Guang Chul focuses his weapon at Dae-gil and Emina and takes the cash from them prior to getting away in their vehicle. A couple of days after the fact, the news shows that Guang Chul passed through the city while throwing cash at individuals through the window and he later was found dead in the mountains. At home, Emina asks Dae-gil how he managed the additional card during the game, also, admits he ate it very much like Go had educated him. Their visit is intruded on by the appearance of a letter from Guang Chul, who admits having simply professed to sell out them to safeguard them. Presently everybody figures they don't have the cash and will let them be. In the letter, he incorporated a guide of where he concealed the cash for his dear sister to recover it and begin another existence with Dae-gil. In the wake of getting the cash back, Dae-gil tosses away his last card deck, choosing to do as Hands of God and stopped betting to have a superior life.